What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be planting in this newly prepared bed. I have another video on what I did to re-prep that bed for fall, as well as another video on just a general how to prepare. But what we're doing is we're going to plant some fall crops in here, and we're going to talk about high density planting, because in a bed, especially if you're in a small space, you want to get as much value as you can out of a bed. This is about 36 by 55 inches, and so we're going to try to use every inch of that space if we can with some nice compact fall crops. And the real benefit here, not only do you get more harvest, but you get some beneficial strategies for the garden as well. You're going to get canopy, sort of a canopy that's going to cover the soil, prevent it from solarizing, and prevent water from evaporating, as well as keep down weed pressure. So there's a lot of advantages to this, so let's go ahead and get to it. First thing we're going to talk about is just generally how to space seedlings. So you can use a template like this. This is called the seeding square, but you don't have to. You can just do it by eye as well. But I want to get as close as I possibly can to the corners here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then we'll play with these edges as we see fit. And what this is, it's a color-coded way to plant intensely via the square foot gardening method. And so when I used to work with Mel Bartholomew, he was really big, obviously, on his own method, but there's a certain simplicity and genius to it that I really appreciated. So what I'm gonna do right here is let's do some radishes. Radishes, you can go about 16 per square foot, and what you would do is just go ahead, make your little markings, and you're good to go. And you make sure that you're perfectly spaced for everything that you do. So you can see we have all the little holes there. We're gonna do that for this one, and then we're gonna drop in 2 different varieties of radish. And what you can do is, now that you know exactly where to plant them, you can actually just vary the species, the varieties, or the cultivars that you plant, and it's gonna come out looking really nice and beautiful. So I have a variety of radish seeds here. And if you want to see the video on how I made this, you can go ahead and check out the upper right hand corner. We're going to probably do some French breakfast, some Sakurajima giants, but harvest them early, and we're going to do the Easter egg blend. So I don't really need to be too particular about how I sow them. I'm just going to go ahead and do 2 per hole, because I want to make sure that I get something that germinates. So we're going to go 2 per hole, and we're just going to kind of mix it up. I might do a little staircase system like I'm doing here. So I'll take one variety and kind of sprinkle it throughout. I don't know, there's no real rhyme or reason to why you would do that. I just think it kind of is interesting. Something interesting as well is these Sakurajima giant radish seeds are, in fact, living up to their name. They are absolutely massive. So really excited to see how these ones go, because I actually have not grown them. If you have grown them, please let me know in the comments, because honestly, what sold me on these ones is the picture was of this little child holding the radish seeds, or the finished product, and it was bigger than she was. And so I was like, you know what? This is epic gardening. I need to grow an epic radish, right? So we've got these, and then I'm going to take the Easter egg blend, because it's a blend, and I'm going to go ahead and just sow the rest of these rows with the Easter egg blend. And so now we already have 32 radishes sown right here, and we haven't even come close to using up the rest of our space, right? And so of course this is going to be a pretty hefty crop once it comes out, but that's no big deal. If you wanted to, you could do a succession planting style for this bed, and that would work just fine. There's no problems with that at all, and I have a whole video on how to do that. The only problem is, in the first month or so, when you're getting the succession planting set up, there's going to be parts of your bed that are left fallow, because of course you have to sacrifice a little bit of time in order to stagger that harvest. So our radish seeds are planted, and then I think I've kind of explained the general idea behind dense planting here. You're following a square foot gardening-ish method. You kind of fudge it if you want to, but it's either 16, 9, 4, or 1 per square foot, depending on the plant. And you can of course look that up. I'll put a link in the video description. We're gonna go ahead and do the rest of these on time lapse, and then we'll edge it out with some other crops.
So I decided to go with some little gem lettuce and some American flag leeks. The lettuce will be at 4 per square foot, and the leeks will be at 9 per square foot. And I'm putting 2 to 3 seeds in each hole, and I just kind of wanted to create a little pattern, so we're doing a diagonal cross section of each and filling out the middle of this bed.
So we're planted in with radishes, a lettuce on the diagonal here, and then leeks and onions here. Now, you might be saying that's not very efficient, right? And you would be right in the sense that only this much of the bed is used. However, I can line here with either small root crops like carrots or radishes, or perhaps I can do beans right here. In this larger space that isn't quite 1 square foot, I can basically just pretend that it is, and it cuts off right about here. And so I can divide it in a little bit more compacted space and plant in right there. So what I'm probably going to do is do some beans right here and then line both edges of the bed with carrots and other simple root crops, parsnips, turnips, things like that.
So what I'm doing here is I am doing 2 spaces for carrots on each side of the bed here, and a bunch of different multicolored carrots. You can grow so many different beautiful varieties. So that's what I'm liking to do here. I want to add some color to this garden, a nice little edging to this bed. And then in the larger space, I'm going to put in beets because they do take a little bit more space and it's a good way to fill out the bed.
All right, everyone, we're planted in here, and that's so simple. You use high density planting techniques, whether that be the square foot gardening method, whatever you choose personally to use. But we've got, like I said, you kind of do the middle, and I like to then go around the outside and line it however I choose. We've got, what do we have in here? We have radishes, we have leeks, we have onions, we have lettuce, and then on the outsides I did every type of variety of carrot that I personally own. And then I did beets at the end. And one thing about beets is you don't need to put more than 1 seed in, because actually the beet seed is more than 1 seed anyways. So you don't need to do that. Now, one more tip before I go. See the tarp over this? This is a tip I got from my friend Stephen Cornett over at Nature's Always Right. So go ahead and follow him. He's got plenty of tips. So in the heat, I'm zone 10B, it's very hot here. I like to cover up with a tarp or burlap or something like that in order to protect fragile seedlings when they're direct sowing, because as soon as a seed breaks the seed hole and starts to germinate, that's when it's at its most vulnerable. And if it dries out at all, it's gone, it's dead. So that's what you got to be careful of, especially with something as fragile as, let's say, a carrot, excuse me. So I hope that was helpful. High density planting in a raised bed for fall. Really, the principles apply to any season. So if you liked it, let me know what you're growing for fall, and if you have any of your own high density planting strategies, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, later guys.